Jung's wisdom on detachment isn't about letting go of things, but about rediscovering yourself. It's a deep dive into your soul, a peeling back of layers of fear, expectation, and the identities you've painstakingly built. A self buried under years of striving and control. This isn't about loss, though your ego will scream otherwise. It's a homecoming. You're reclaiming your authentic self, the quiet whisper beneath the incessant noise of ambition and obligation. We cling to things not out of genuine satisfaction, but out of terror of the void, the deafening silence of what we fear losing. Yet, ironically, it's in that emptiness, that space of release, that you finally hear the voice of your soul. True strength lies not in holding on, but in discerning what doesn't serve you, what's misaligned with your truest path. It requires trust, a forgotten virtue in our hyper-driven world. Trust in yourself, in life's inherent wisdom, a quiet intelligence that flows when you stop resisting. Detachment isn't surrender. It's a courageous leap of faith into something larger, more fulfilling. It's about dismantling the seductive illusion of total control, that exhausting pursuit of dominion over the universe. A gilded cage of anxiety. The doors of this prison swing open, not through force, but through ceasing resistance to reality. What's truly essential doesn't require a fight to maintain. If you're begging, pleading, explaining yourself small to hold on to something, a person, a dream, a version of yourself, it's not aligned with your truth. The soul doesn't cling. It attracts through resonance, existing not in fragmented fears, but in the quiet center of your being. Detachment allows you to return to that center, to rediscover peace and the nourishing current of your true purpose. Life, instead of being chased, begins to draw you in. You're not clinging, you're being guided. You don't fear loss. You trust that what's meant to stay will. Your worth isn't defined by what you hold, but by what you release. It's a bold choice. Presence over possession, truth over comfort, a refusal to betray yourself for the familiar. It's a quiet revolution, a return to the silent wisdom that speaks in clarity, not clamor. The universe responds with harmony, with peace, because you've created space, remembered who you are beneath the weight of what you thought you needed. Detachment sends a tremor through your unconscious, a ripple activating something ancient and sacred within. The results aren't immediate, but a profound shift has begun. It's a refusal of old patterns, a deep inner reprogramming. We often live by the visible, the tangible, the controllable, ignoring the unconscious forces, wounds, beliefs, fears, shaping our lives. Genuine letting go dismantles these underlying structures. Recurring patterns, toxic relationships, emotional triggers, painful endings persist because the energy fueling them remains unbroken. It's not your conscious logic, but your unconscious loyalty to a survival mechanism, a belief that pain equals love, chaos equals intimacy, suffering equals security. Detachment breaks this loyalty. When you say no more, your unconscious, complex patterns that held your identity loosen. Tangled emotional bonds unravel. Your inner architecture, built from pain and protection, reconfigures itself. This can feel disorienting. The ego loses its grip on the narrative, but your unconscious awakens, bringing transformative power. It's not passivity. It's the sacred act of stepping aside, of not resisting change. You witness life, not as something to control, but to harmonize. As you release, you feel the presence of something larger, a force guiding you, removing obstacles, gently placing what belongs on your path. This often triggers a period of loss. Not punishment, but cleansing, pruning, the shedding of what doesn't resonate with your inner frequency. What was built on fear doesn't survive in the light of sun. What was clung to out of need withers in the sun of sun. It falls not because you pushed it, but because it no longer fits the shape of your soul. The unconscious responds to truth as the body does to oxygen. It breathes. It moves when you stop forcing it to remain still. Your thoughts clear. Your choices become less reactive. Your heart beats with newfound confidence. You don't become someone new. You remember someone old, complete. The temptation to return to the familiar is strong, but resist. This is where the sacred emerges. Your awakened unconscious engages in a dialogue with life's mystery, in signs, symbols, synchronicities. What seems chaotic is precise. Loss is alignment. Endings are beginnings. Trust the process, not because you understand it, but because it's true. Trust that something within you is wiser than your fear. Detachment isn't destruction. It's a profound rebuilding a life, finally mirroring your soul. When the decision comes from the soul, not just the mind, a subtle but deep shift occurs. Things fall away, people move out of your orbit, situations lose their grip. This isn't loss, it's alignment. What departs doesn't match your new frequency. Life, like the psyche, seeks balance, and your internal movement demands an external response. Everything you hold, a person, an identity, a pattern, resonates with an emotional vibration. Fear, shame, desire, fulfillment, they all have frequencies. Operating from a place of attachment, you attract what sustains that state. If you're rooted in fear of abandonment, you'll find relationships that reflect that fear. If you're bound by a sense of unworthiness, you'll magnetize experiences that confirm that belief. It's not punishment, it's reflection. The world mirrors what you're most aligned with internally. Detachment changes that mirror. It interrupts the old signals. It tells the universe you're choosing from a different place. In response, life removes what doesn't belong. Conversations, environments, people who thrived on your confusion no longer resonate. This isn't rejection, it's resonance, recalibration. A silence follows, a quietude that may feel like emptiness, but it's sacred. It's the pause between two selves, the one that clung and the one that trusts. Don't rush to fill that space. Let it echo. Life reorganizes, not through noise, but through subtraction. In that void, something new emerges, not from the outside, but from within. This attracts a different life. Things that match your new frequency. People who don't need you to perform love. Situations that invite your truth. Opportunities that call forth your creativity, not your survival instincts. This is only possible when the old frequencies are cleared, when the universe no longer needs to reinforce your wounds, but can reflect your healing. This isn't magic, it's nature. The law governing energy governs the psyche. Like attracts like. When your inner world is lighter, clearer, more honest, the outer world adjusts. Perhaps not immediately, but inevitably. It cannot help but respond to who you've become. Like water finding its level, life finds the version of you you're finally willing to embody. Don't panic when things begin to unravel. This moment of undoing is sacred. The old world breaks, and the new hasn't fully emerged. If you run back to the familiar, you re-enter the cycle. If you stay, trust that life hasn't abandoned you. It's responding, clearing space for the next chapter, written in your authentic voice. This isn't theory. It's the lived experience of those who dared to let go of control, who chose alignment over attachment. They'll tell you detachment isn't an ending, but the beginning of resonance, harmony, a life that doesn't require suffering to be real. Pain may exist, but it's not in command. Fear may whisper, but it doesn't dictate your path. When the universe responds, let it. When people leave, bless them. When structures collapse, trust they weren't strong enough to hold what you're becoming. When silence deepens, remember, this is your soul being heard, perhaps for the first time. As you release, something surprising happens. Life opens doors previously invisible, not because they appeared, but because your attachment blocked your vision. Transformation begins, not with gain, but with loss, not with more, but with emptiness. In that emptiness, the new begins to stir. Many fear detachment, not just the pain of separation or uncertainty of the future, but the silent terror of facing the unknown self. The self without the story, without the role. We cling to identities for security, love, worth. When you have the courage to release these beliefs, life responds not with abandonment, but with offering. The offering comes from the void. What was once failure or punishment becomes fertile ground for new life. Many rush to fill the void, clinging to distractions, familiar patterns in new clothing. Nothing real grows in unclean soil. The emptiness, sacred, terrifying, fertile, allows something entirely new to be born. Few speak of this part of the process. They celebrate the result. New relationships, awakened purpose, unexpected opportunities, but ignore the quietude that preceded it. They forget the miracle began in silence. The universe can't deliver the future until you make peace with the past. The space between isn't punishment, it's preparation, realigning your inner world to receive what you couldn't reach before. The self you re-becoming doesn't emerge in a life built around the self you no longer willing to be. So things fall apart, or rather, fall into truth. What's misaligned dissolves. What was held by fear loses its grip. Though it seems like loss, it's the clearing of a path always present, hidden beneath the debris of old attachment. When you stop fighting, you see life isn't taking, but making space. It's not closing doors, but opening those truly meant for you. It's not the size of the opportunity that matters, but the resonance. A single, quiet understanding can be more powerful than 100 noisy distractions. A moment of clarity, born from the silence of surrender, redirects the course of a lifetime. What's for you doesn't demand force. It doesn't require you to abandon yourself, shrink, or prove your worth. What's for you will speak directly to your soul. You'll recognize it not by appearance, but by feeling. It will feel like truth, like home, and it won't arrive until there's space for it. Detachment is the most courageous act, for it invites the unknown, makes you available to something larger, tells life, I trust the process more than my fear. In return, life unfolds in unpredictable ways. You find people, strengths hidden under old identities, parts of yourself that only awaken when you're no longer trying to be someone else. The new emerges not through effort, but through surrender, not through control, but through allowing. The path isn't visible all at once, but each step in trust reveals the next. The feared emptiness isn't the end, but the beginning of the story you were always meant to live. As you release, as the illusion of control fades, something awakens within you, something waiting longer than you know, a silent, unshakable strength, arising not from effort, but from presence. You grow stronger not by clinging, but by ceasing resistance to the truth of your experience. You discover resilience not by shielding yourself from the unknown, but by willingly entering it. Knowing who you are isn't what you fear losing. Many inner battles stem from a refusal to simply be with what is. We resist pain, so it deepens. We flee discomfort, so it pursues us. We cling to outgrown identities because they gave us security. Security isn't peace. It's merely the absence of threat. The soul shouldn't merely live without threats, but fully, honestly, freely. For that it needs to grow, to break the shell it once called protection. Detachment is the moment that shell begins to crack. Letting go of what we've outgrown isn't weakness, it's strength. The quiet strength that doesn't scream, doesn't seek validation, but simply rests in truth. Your peace matters more than your past, your integrity more than your comfort, your evolution more than the illusion of permanence. There is no strength in holding on to what diminishes you. There is strength in choosing yourself, even when misunderstood, even walking alone. This strength isn't of the ego. It's not about proving anything, conquering, or controlling. It's the inner quietude that says, I can be completely with myself without needing to escape. It's the strength of no longer needing to perform, to please, to fit where you no longer belong. It's the strength that arises when you no longer fear to feel, to grieve, to begin again. You stop chasing peace and start becoming it. So much energy is lost holding on to what's gone, trying to fix what isn't yours, forcing things to stay. When you stop forcing, stop pleading, you reclaim that energy. You feel lighter. This lightness isn't emptiness. It's clarity, spaciousness, freedom that allows something new to emerge. Not because you made it happen, but because you created space. In that space, you find your own company, your breath. The part of you that patiently waited beneath the noise, the demands, the incessant striving. You realize you were never broken, only buried, covered by expectations, trauma. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about refusing to sacrifice yourself on the altar of something that's already dead. It's drawing a sacred line in the sand and saying, enough. This isn't breaking, it's soaring. The strength you crave isn't something you find, it's something you become. It's already there. A dormant power waiting for you to stop chasing external validation and finally come home to yourself. Forget measuring your worth by outcomes. Your self-worth isn't tied to a perfectly aligned life, a flawless narrative, or the unwavering support of others. Stop clinging to the illusion of control. The universe isn't conspiring against you. It's simply responding to the version of you you've stubbornly presented. When you release that version, something extraordinary happens. It's not magic, it's a pattern. A shift from fighting for survival to embracing your evolution. It's about surrender. Surrender to the current, to the unfolding of your authentic self. When you finally let go of the reins, life begins to orchestrate events, not based on your will, but in harmony with your deepest truth. Suddenly, synchronicity becomes commonplace. Opportunities align with uncanny precision. The right people appear, not to test you, but to meet you where you've risen. It's not mystical. It's the natural consequence of aligning with your own inner compass. The world responds to your readiness, not your relentless striving. This readiness doesn't arrive when all the pieces fall neatly into place. It emerges when you relinquish the need for external validation, for constant proof of your worth. The life you desire isn't something to be chased. It's something to be cultivated within. It's about shedding the old, the limiting beliefs, the toxic relationships, the outdated self-image, and stepping into your potential. Your potential speaks a language of quiet confidence and unwavering courage. It whispers to you through feelings unburdened by fear, through choices unshackled by old programming, through signs that illuminate, not mystify, your path. This journey isn't a single moment, it's an ongoing unfolding. Fear and doubt will still surface, but they'll no longer dictate your decisions. You'll recognize them as echoes of your past self, acknowledge them, and move on. This is the birth of inner authority, not control over others, but mastery over your own internal world. When you're guided from within, life falls into step. You don't chase your ideal life. You become the person who naturally lives it. This transformation requires letting go of deadlines, false identities, and unspoken agreements to stay small. Trust that the intelligence of life surpasses the logic of your plans. Let it reorganize, reshape, and release what no longer serves you. You won't be left behind. You'll be carried forward, not by fantasy, but by reality, aligned with the truth of who you truly are. That truth doesn't scream. It waits patiently for you to stop trying to be someone else long enough to hear it. When you do, you'll realize life wasn't hiding. It was waiting for your permission to begin. If this resonates, if you're ready to release what no longer serves and step into the life that awaits, take this as your sign. Start small. Release a thought, a fear, an expectation. Let it be the beginning of your transformation. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Your next chapter doesn't begin when life changes. It begins when you do. Let go and watch how life responds. Are you ready to surrender?